All right. Let me know that you hear me. So those of you who are coming onto my live, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you once again. I want to talk about why we are so scared to talk about sex. Okay. And so a couple things happened recently. I have a group on Facebook, Tantra and Sacred Sexuality. It's a private group. And we've been talking a lot about sex and sexuality. And I've been asking different questions like, what is your favorite position? What turns you on? What annoys you? And just different types of questions. And one lady that was in the group, she was a therapist, a psychotherapist. She was like, oh, this is making me uncomfortable. And she left the group. And I was like, wow, she's a psychotherapist and this is making her uncomfortable. All of these differing opinions on sexuality to the point that she had to leave the group. I was like, wow, well, how does she handle that with her clients? Then this week, this happened like a week or two ago. And then this week I got a new client who came in and she said she's seeing a psychotherapist and it's going well, but she just doesn't feel comfortable talking to her psychotherapist about that stuff that's going on in her sexuality. And she just doesn't feel like the therapist actually has the tools to help her with what she's struggling with sexually. And so, those two events made me decide to come on here and talk about this because, I don't know if you know, but my background is as a psychotherapist. In the States, I got my master's in psychology, got my license. I opened up my private practice and I started working with clients, with adult women, adult men, couples, different things like that. And I would say, yes, we did not really get the sex education piece to work with clients on sexuality. And a lot of times as a psychotherapist, we're also taught to not really bring in religion, not bringing different things to make people uncomfortable. And so, just kind of, just being more neutral, not so much giving advice and just really just being able to listen. And so, I was just like, wow, when I started learning Tantra and working with sacred sexuality, it was just like, oh my God, there's so many things I did not learn as a psychotherapist that did not prepare me to work with people, And so when that psychotherapist left the group and was saying that she felt uncomfortable, I was like, wow, I was there. I could say that just 15 years ago, I didn't know how to handle people talking about different sexual things. I had a lot of sexual energy, but I didn't even know how to express myself. I didn't know how to appropriately express myself without people, taking it the wrong way or judging or talking about me. Honestly, now I don't care. I'm being me, I'm doing me. And I had to realize that I learned that we are all sexual beings. We came from sex. So there's nothing wrong with sex. And sex has just become such a taboo, like such a taboo. We can't talk about it. A lot of times parents can't talk about it to the kids in the schools. They're limited as to what they can say in the media. We can't talk about different things. We just got the new rules and regulations for, what we can do, what we can say on Facebook, on Instagram. So there's so many different things. And it's about, they're wanting to protect people who are going to feel uncomfortable about these topics, And so it's just, it's so hard. It's been hard for me to see other people and know about just what I went through. And that's why I really just made this my mission to talk about sex all the time. And I do it a lot. And, sometimes I'm around family and friends and I'm talking about different things that has to do with sex. And I could see people getting uncomfortable. But I'm like, why are we uncomfortable, talking about sex? And so I do want to hear from you guys too now. Like if you, say hi as you're on and you're listening, if you know any reasons, if anything's coming up for you as to why people are uncomfortable, what you've experienced, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to see that as well. And so that's what made it my mission. And so every Wednesday I'm doing lives on YouTube and Facebook as well. And I'm just really making sure that we're putting it out there. Usually on Wednesdays, I'm interviewing someone else, or I have someone else coming on, and we're talking about sex, or we're talking about Tantra, or we're talking about something different. So, because it's just important. And I think the more and more that we become comfortable having these conversations, the more we're going to grow, the more that we learn about ourselves, the more that we improve in relationships. So, so it's important. And I just want to say, it's, for me, like, when I first started talking about sex and doing these lives, it was nerve-wracking. I was like, oh my God, what are people going to think? What are people going to say? And I think it's just that we have to really get out of that, get out of our heads, and get out of what people are thinking. So J. Oscar Simmons says, hey, I think it's because so intimate people are a little uncomfortable discussion it in certain arenas. Yeah, people are just very uncomfortable in certain areas, and depending on where they're at. But I'll discuss for sure anywhere. Yes, it's important to be able to discuss it anywhere, and just be free, be open. One of the things that I've noticed, I'm in a lot of different groups on Facebook. And I see people in these private groups, especially women in these women groups that I'm in, they'll ask about sex, and they'll ask, where did you learn how to have sex? Or, or sometimes they'll share something that is very hard for them that they've experienced. And then I'll see other people make comments that's just nasty or mean, or like, oh, I can't believe you didn't know this. I can't believe you weren't aware of this. But you know how many people aren't aware of sexuality? Do you know how many people aren't aware of their own anatomy? When I'm teaching women and men, I teach classes for men and women, and I'm teaching about the anatomy, I'm teaching about sexuality, and there's just so many things that we just don't know. And a lot of times we think we know a lot, but it's like, you don't know what you don't know. And that's the thing, you don't know what you don't know. And so that's why I decided, I've had people ask me, over time, I've had a lot of men ask me, Renee or Pandara, whatever you want to call me, because I have both of those names, when are you going to start doing stuff for the men? Don't forget us. We need stuff too. Then I've had women say, I need, I want a group just for women where we could feel safe and talk. And this has been over the years. So finally, I'm listening. Finally, I'm doing it. I have been doing circles in person when I've traveled around the world, here in Brazil where I live, but now I'm doing it I'm virtually, so people can come from anywhere and find a really safe space, this circle, to be able to share, to talk, to ask questions, to learn the secret tips that I'm going to be sharing, to even just make you a better lover, to make you more confident. And so many of us are just not confident because we're afraid to talk about things. We're afraid to grow and to learn different things. So let's see, definitely needs to be taught. It's not a bad thing or taboo. It's absolutely a part of our natural existence. Yes, it is. It's a natural part of our existence. Thank you, Oscar, J. Oscar. Good afternoon, NC Walker. And openness about sex is still being explored in culture. We haven't figured out how to do it yet. This is really brand new. I believe it should be taught at a young age, and that will remove a lot of the taboos. Completely agreed. This should definitely be taught at a young age. A friend of mine just sent me a Netflix video called Sex and Love Around the World, and it's really good. I just started watching it. I definitely recommend watching that. And so you made me think about that when you said that it should be taught at a young age, and that it should be, then Jay Oscar's point, that it's a natural part of our existence. Well, in a lot of these, they're showing sexuality, sex and love around the world. The first one, there's one in Tokyo, there's one in India, there's one in Beirut. Now, the interesting thing is, in this Netflix show, Sex and Love, they show you how the origin, like, and in ancient times, a long time ago, the whole culture of sexuality was very prevalent. People were talking about it. There was no big deals. But then it began to change. And each country, it's changed for different reasons, right? Where it became taboo, where people stopped talking about it. There became a stigma where it's negative. And so a big part of that in certain countries has been during the colonization, because we merged into a patriarchal society, right? Now, Tantra and Taoism, they're very much matriarchal. It's very much about the women are naturally tantric. Women have a lot of sexual energy. So does men, actually. You know, we all have a lot of sexual energy. But that in that Tantra from India, that was the big thing. And then with colonization and the patriarchal society came, they started changing that. And because they wanted to bring in their virtues, their beliefs, their Christian beliefs, and even Christianity has changed a lot as well from the origins of it. But all of that coming in and becoming a patriarchal society, males dominating everything, you know, it just got to the point where it's like anything that women specifically had to do with sexuality was wrong. Don't touch yourself. Men could touch themselves. Women don't masturbate. Men can masturbate. Women don't go out and have sex with a lot of men, or you're a hoe. Men could go out and have sex with all the women that they want, and they're the man, you know, they're the Don Juan, so all of these different things. Women, close your legs. You're going to hell if you have sex. You're going to hell. You have to wait till you get married. And marriage, that's still not about sex. It's all about procreation. So all of those things have been taught and brought to us, which wasn't how it was in original time. Right. And so that show Sex and Love will go into that too. And I've been saying that before. I honestly just watched one episode, the Tokyo. I haven't seen all of them, but my friend was telling me how it shows that in all of the different shows, episodes. So I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to watch the rest. And I saw that in the one in Tokyo. And they even showed a Buddhist temple. And I'm currently living in a Buddhist temple, a Japanese Buddhist temple at that, Zen. And so in this, they were actually showing, they had some artwork, some ancient artwork, and it was actually showing monks in the temples who were masturbating. So yes, I mean, so, you know, even monks in the temple in olden days, they were masturbating because we have sexual energy. We can't just be completely celibate and do nothing at all or not use the sexual energy, right? And so it's so important to be able to, you know, just understand where these things are coming from. And a big part of it is our sexual energy is the most powerful energy. It's so powerful. This is what helps us to be able to set intentions, manifest different things that we want, manifest the life that we want. And so when we block that, when we close off that sexual energy, it's so much easier for us to be controlled. And that's the thing. And that's what society does, wants to be able to control us. And why? If they can control us, we'll spend more money. We're going to buy all these different things. You know, we're going to have to take medicine. So, you know, it's all a part of that. And so there's so many different reasons that sexuality became taboo. And I really want us to be able to just get out of that, release all of that, and be comfortable, because we really should be comfortable to be able to talk about sex. There's nothing wrong with sex. And I tell you, I love the older singers, rappers that was talking about this. Marvin Gaye, Sexual Healing, Salt and Pepper, Let's Talk About Sex, Janet Jackson, Pleasure Principle. You know, these are just things that we should be able to talk about. And now, WAP. So many people are going crazy about WAP. But, you know, we shouldn't. We should just be okay. Like, we should be able to talk about sex just like we're talking about our hair, the weather, you know, or anything. So anyway, that's all I wanted to share. This was like a last minute. I just decided to come up and do this. And I'm actually doing this on Instagram as well as on Facebook and YouTube. So hello to everyone that came on. If there's anyone else that wants to say anything, greetings, First Eye Vision. Thank you for coming on. I'm about to end it right now, but thank you for coming on. If you're new to my channel, go ahead and subscribe, hit that like and share this. But basically, I was just talking about, you know, why people are scared or afraid to talk about sex. And so if you missed it and you're just coming on, go ahead and watch it from the beginning. But again, it was just a quick, spontaneous. I decided to just come on last minute and talk about this and show some love on a Friday evening. Also, today is Black Consciousness Day. So in Brazil, it's a holiday in many of the different states. Dia de Consciência de Negra. So Black Consciousness Day. So buy Black today. Spend your money on Black businesses. Be conscious of just our history. It's just like the word is coming. I'm thinking in Portuguese now. But anyway, be aware of Blackness today for Black Consciousness Day. Anyway, so thank you for coming on. If anyone want to say anything about the subject before I head off about sexuality, why they think that people are scared to talk about sex or anything, you can do it right now before I head off. If there's any questions that you want to ask right now. I'll give you a second just to ask in case you want to know anything. And while people are writing, I just want to say thank you, First Eye Vision, for coming on. Greetings. I haven't seen you before, so hope you enjoyed this. NC Worker, thank you for coming back. I appreciate that. And J. Oscar Simmons, thank you for your comments. Also, real quick before you go, I do want to let you know, while I'm waiting, if anybody wants to ask any comments or any questions or anything, I do have a sister circle coming up, Awaken the Sacred Goddess. And then I have a men's circle, Awaken the Sacred Masculine. And so both of those, are going to be just for men and then just for women. And I'm going to really be sharing secrets to how to become an even better lover than you are. Secrets for how to connect to your body, master your body, own your body, and just feel like that goddess that you are, or to awaken that sacred masculine energy. So many times I have different men who ask about how to last longer or how to practice semen retention, so I'm going to be going into that for the men. For the women, we're going to be doing yoni breathing to really tighten and strengthen those yoni muscles, the vaginal muscles. So those are two great circles that I got coming up in December. For the women is December 6th. It's a Sunday. And for the men, December 13th. So join me. I have more information on my website at www.prandadaprem.com. You can find information there. And both of those circles are going to be through Patreon. So you can also go to my Patreon, Patreon/PrandadaPrem. You'll find that information. And I have tons of the information as well on my Instagram as well as Facebook. So you have all of that information there. And thank you guys. Thank you for coming on in the middle of the day. Some of you are probably working, so I don't want to take up so much of your time. And that's it. So love you all. Bye. And thank you for coming.